Welcome in TNC Radio.live. It's Friday night. That means it's time for Driver Nation. I'm Tom Kelly along with Gary from Gary's Apps and Steve from Rideshare Rodeo. Happy to have you all in here this evening talking all things on the gig economy here on a Friday night. Welcome back in TNC Radio.live. Friday night, Driver Nation. I'm Tom, along with Steve and Gary. We'll be here with you for the next hour and a half or so, talking all things around the gig economy. Steve, you were just about to tell us some serious stuff. No, not serious stuff.
Well, no, I want to. This is good because the radio listeners, we weren't doing any video at that time.
No.
So yeah, this is only applies to them. That's why we couldn't pull back the footage. But oddly, Tremaine, so you guys remember Tremaine Hayhoe. If you don't, he's the director, writer, and producer of the movie Rideshare. We had him on this program twice, and the second time we had him on, he was recording for his channel himself on his couch while he was on the radio with us, which is great because we couldn't have captured this moment without it because it was a radio break. So at the time we didn't have YouTube rolling, so nobody could see it. It was just me, Tom, Tremaine, whoever else was here, and that was it. And that was all. But then Tremaine caught it on this camera, and I have it where we had a caller call in. I don't even remember. It's been a while. I don't even remember exactly how it went. He was asking Tremaine about dating, and then
oh my gosh,
who would pay? And he was a guy. And
yeah.
Tremaine didn't want to say something because he was like, well, I date girls.
Yeah, it was a weird call, and I couldn't figure out is this guy like a friend of Tremaine's and he's just messing with him, or
yeah. And Tremaine was like literally like no joke. He was like, I have no idea. In the end, for those that heard it, in the end, about a half hour later, we brought the guy on, and he even played it for a minute when we brought him on, but then it ended up being a friend of Tremaine's, an actor friend.
It was freaky. It was.
And even he was like, "You're kidding me," because he said, "Well, if we were out on a date, like how far could I get?" And he was like, he was making himself like sound like 80. He sounded
which
very
episode
old.
Was that? So we can go back and listen to it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tremaine sent me the video footage of he set down he took an iPhone and just set it down to be on StreamYard or to be on the radio, but he hit screen record too, so he was recording it. So I have it with the sound.
Oh, that's cool.
Of him sitting there going. You watch. We didn't get to even at the time see him, but we were watching his expressions to all this. I mean, we can watch it. We need to post it. I need to.
Yeah, absolutely. That was hilarious. That was great stuff.
But he was Tremaine's like I remember when he asked, how far do we get if I take you out to dinner? And Tremaine was like, well, who's paying?
It was weird.
It was so weird, dude. But yeah. Anyway, God bless Tremaine. By the way, his movie is coming out, Simp, in the next 2 weeks.
And which one is that? What's that?
That is the Instagram model who gets sucked into some kind of pit of Silence of the Lambs type scariness up in Northern California. I don't know.
Some type of horror flick.
There's something very, very wrong with Tremaine. Just
God bless him.
Which I love. That's what I love about him. But there's something really, really. And I wonder sometimes who has got more problems, those of us who watch his stuff or Tremaine himself, because there are those of us who watch his stuff and go, that's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. If anybody talks to Tremaine for any given period of time, the guy goes to church every Sunday. Not that that says a lot about anybody, but he for the weirdo he is, he can be the other way too. He's just an odd guy. He's one of those awesome people you meet in life.
I bet you he probably is not the type to do it, but I'll bet you if you gave him an IQ test, he would be off the charts there. I think that guy's I
would take your money on that.
I think
all day.
I think he's a pretty brilliant guy myself.
I don't.
You don't.
I think he's smart, but I don't think he'd genius out on the IQ test. No.
I think.
No offense, Tremaine. I love you. You know that. I love you.
But where do you think he'd end up? Like bottom quarter, or, top 8%, bottom 8%, something like that.
He'd be functional.
Functional, okay.
Again, I love you, Tremaine. You know that I do.
Steve's like 50. Oh, wrong button. 50.
Yeah.
Gig workers set their own rates and give themselves raises. Well, nobody told me that. Nobody told me that. I didn't know anything.
He's talking from that was earlier when we were talking about that we'd pay for somebody grabbing that avatar footage. And whoever grabbed that, they'd be setting their own rates. And they probably would be too.
Rideshare Lisa is chiming in about Tremaine. She's saying it's actually interesting. But that you didn't need to say that. You could have just started with the next thing because we're hoping it's interesting.
Right. And why are you giving away spoilers?
I don't think she is. Really, is it? Yeah, because he said this. I know this too. It's about a girl who has an Instagram and claimed she was kidnapped, but no one believed her.
Wow.
But I've seen some of the footage, and it's got some freaky stuff in it for sure. Tom, you're a Hey Ho Studio member.
You bet I am.
Yeah, you could have watched the premiere.
Oh,
it was a like a 7-minute short premiere.
Oh, I probably.
I think it's still available to you. But
yeah, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, yep. And while we're speaking of Tremaine, I finally watched Cat Town Story, you guys. Not recently, but it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Awesome movie. That's Tremaine's documentary. It won the award for Best Picture at the same studio they filmed Star Wars in over in England. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's a very, 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 very big deal to win an award from the studio. And it won documentary, Best Documentary. Wow. Last year, or won Best Documentary this year, 2022, Cat Town Story. It was the winner. And it's good. It's about these people who, it's about a rescue clinic for cats in Oakland, California. It doesn't sound like the most interesting thing out of the gates, but it was different. Their approach was different. Tremaine's filming style definitely came through. You could tell, because if I didn't say it, maybe not, but if I told you, now you went and watched the documentary, you'd totally get it. You can see Tremaine all over it. So. But yeah, Pinewood Studios. Pinewood, yep. And they have an award. Thank you, Rick, by the way. They have an award they put out every year for Best Picture, Best Action, and then they do these award ceremonies there. Well, for the Best Documentary, or if it was a documentary like offset niche or something, I don't know what it was, but it won in a class of 58 movies that were submitted for his same class. That's pretty cool. It's very cool, man. I mean, especially because that's not what he does. Right. That is number one thing. Right now, that's going to be his biggest awarded piece he's ever done. But yet he spent 4 times as much and still was on a low budget for Rideshare. And what did he tell us, Tom? 80,000? I think he made everything for Rideshare in under 80,000. Yeah, it was something like that. I mean, that's pretty good, considering every piece of crap multi-million-dollar flick that. Yeah. Have you guys ever watched the Project Green stuff that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck put together? Project. Oh. Yeah, I know that they've been doing stuff forever, but I don't know if I know. This is way back when the first guy. Well, it's the truly behind the scenes of how a movie is put together, and they raised the money. I think it was $1 million for the first one that they did, and took a bunch of different ideas from a bunch of different guys who wanted to make movies and had never made it through in the Hollywood world.
and then kind of came alongside them and helped make it happen. And you get the whole thing from them trying to hire the right actors and people who we know and people who we've never heard of and all that kind of stuff. And it's a series, and it's funny. It's raw. There are days where it's pretty exciting. He's very interested in your background and your knowledge around the entire. I'm going to call it the AB5 stuff, just because shorthand. You know what I'm talking about.
We need a code word that just means we all know what we're saying here, right?
So yeah, AB5. We know what we're talking about.
Or not even that though, like Kodiak. Like if we say Kodiak, we're talking about independent contractors, states that are going to take away the independent contractorship, right to work, AB5, Prop 22, Massachusetts 1, 2, 3, 4, Washington State, all that stuff. It just Kodiak means that from now on. That way the rest of you don't have to be like, oh no, they're going there. Hey, Fred, Kodiak it is. There you go. That's our code word to say that we're thinking about it.
That's right.
So yeah, James, I know a lot about all the different Kodiak breeds.
Yeah.
Even the inbred ones. Yeah. Steve is actually committed to memory all 183 pages of the latest discussions on all that. That reminds me, I'm going to post in the chat for you guys because this, I don't know if you saw this, but this is the first, is it the McKinley group or something? I'm going to have to find it, but posted the first findings on AB5 and Prop 22. It's a 4-page document. It's
interesting.
It's sloppy to say the least. And it definitely used a lot of part-time workers when 85% of them would immediately not be able to work in this economy.
Right.
Because, and it really, one of the things that, Tom, I'm sure you read Freight Waves.
Yes.
But this one came in Freight Waves, and actually the article is actually good. It's actually how we feel, but it actually had a link to the thing. But it also talked about how moms would suffer tremendously by this because the flexibility is gone. And I loved the fact that they were so point of fact with it, because everybody's like, well, they don't have to get rid of the, and I'm like, they don't have to, but of course the flexibility is gone. We don't even, that doesn't even have to be discussed, guys. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to hire you as employees and let you just come and go as you please. It's just, I guarantee that. I'll bet my 1.1 million that Tom valued me at. So I'm actually going to post it for everybody. So this is the first study. I'm going to put it in the chat. Study on Prop. I think it's on Prop 22. They don't really refer to AB5 about it so much, but there it is. It's in the chat.
The first study on Kodiak.
Yeah, I should have put Kodiak. I'm already messing it up.
Yeah. Where's your calendar down? Because it used to be on the right side of you.
There's no wall here.
Yeah, there's no walls.
Gary's been to my house now. He knows where I am.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait, where's your calendar? Because he used to go, well, let me check.
Right. Because Gary was surprised I had a paper calendar on the wall.
I did. Like, I just throw everything in my calendar on my computer.
And then I think you were doubting me too, and you saw it was actually like filled in.
It was the whole month.
Tom, one other thing that I would like to mention too that we should, I just find funny. I know that they changed, but the gig economy apps get rated by payments.com, the top 15 every month. And they just came in. They get scores up to 100, and some fell. Most of them fell, and even some of the ones that fell in the score moved up. So Uber's at number 1 with 95. You guys are gonna be surprised by a lot of these. A lot of them aren't ones even we work, but just movers and shakers. Who's up? Who's down? They have a lot of different. The scoring factors are channel coverage, up-to-date downloads, monthly average users, and sessions per user, average session length. And so number 1 is Uber, 2 DoorDash, 3 Instacart, 4 Amazon Flex, and tied for 4 is Fiverr. Number 5 is Grubhub. Number 6 is Up. Number 7 is TaskRabbit. Number 8 is Lyft with a score of 53, which is really bad. They fell again. And number 9 is Freelancer. Number 10 is Wanalo, which I did an article on, and they have a score of 36, but somehow they made it in here. Number 11 is Snagajob. Never even heard of that till I saw it on here. Number 12 is Thumbtack. Number 13 is Jobby. Number 14 is Gigwalk, and number 15 is People Per Hour. I mean, the first 3 we all got, right? But I'm wondering how many of those other ones people even. I mean, I know people know of TaskRabbit or Fiverr, but have you used them?
What is people per hour?
I don't know. No, it doesn't sound right, does it?
It doesn't. It's like
it sounds like a horrible name. I agree, man. And their logo is kind of like it. It's like a circle face with 2 eyes, but it doesn't have any mouth.
It's kind of like a Fiverr or a Upwork or
but a much worse name. It scored 16 and still made the top 15. I mean, but here's my point. Okay, that's at the bottom at 15. Okay, so where is what was the one I was looking for? Okay, Instacart's there. Like where's Shipped? Where is Spark? Like, Spark can't even score 16.
And they're some of the top earning apps right now.
I know. This came out today. Again, I told you the factors. The factors are channel coverage, up-to-date downloads. These are the 4 key points. Monthly average users and sessions per user and average session length.
Okay.
So I don't know if a session is like, is that count while you're like what they call active time or
right? That was my question.
Or just sitting there. Does that count too? Or is it only when you're working with a client on the app? So I don't know. Nonetheless, I would still think some of these would have scored higher or got up higher than some of these other ones. I'm surprised that like up 4 points is Winolo to 32. Amazon Flex was the biggest gainer. It gained 6 points. Freelancer gained 6. Winolo gained 4 over last month. And then it's all losses all the way down the board. Jobble lost 4, but went up in its ranking. Thumbtack for professionals went -3 points, but went up in its ranking. And Lyft Driver lost 1 point and went down in its ranking. So I don't know. I just find this stuff weird that like first of all, Lyft, why aren't you at a score of 4 at best? Why do you have a 56 or 53? Who gave you a 53? That's like an F-. You're not an F-. You're like kicked out of the test for not answering any of the questions. Yeah, right. Curry isn't on there. Rodeo isn't on there. And Rodeo's UPS, and UPS and FedEx are now optimizing gig workers too. That's another thing that happened since we were last live.
Well, tell us about that.
So FedEx has been really on the chopping block. I don't know. A lot of you probably know that. They've kind of really been hurting the pandemic, supply chain, workers that are W-2 for them and whatnot. And they just never thought even of stepping into the gig world. Well, UPS bought Rodeo, and so they're now operating gig workers while my theory is the same on Spark. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I believe Spark and I believe Rodeo are operating to see how to optimize UPS and Walmart better. They are not looking out for the best interests of gig workers or thinking these apps are going to be around forever. If I had to make a guess, neither of these apps will be good very long. after the new year, and they might even go away and be like absolved by Walmart into something else, or even still called Spark, but something different.
Really?
That's my thought. Yeah, I don't think they pay out the guys, there's a porn star in here. Can you snipe it? Thank you. That's why I have mods, Gary. Arsenal of them. But there we go. Oh, and then it was Gary that sniped him anyway. But yeah, I don't think they will. I mean, because is Walmart going out of business? Heck no.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this exuberant pay like that I make on Curry, and if people, I know people have asked me like, well, how do you know Curry's honeymoon phase isn't over? I'm like, well, Curry started just about 2 years ago, and they've steadied their price. They've gone down a little, but Curry's also made money since month 3. I mean, Uber's been around 14 years, hasn't made any money.
Which is still hard to understand and hard to believe, actually.
Well, we know there's a bunch of underhanded stuff going on.
Well, I mean, I think it's also a different type of insurance and things like that, because Curry didn't have to carry the same type of insurance that Uber and Lyft have to carry.
No, but Curry is now venturing into interstate commerce, and I'm sure that carries with it a whole new, Tom probably knows best, a whole new set of, because they work with the 18-wheelers. They're buying out some of these older trucks. They want a couple of distribution centers over next year.
You know what I'm surprised is like because I told you about the new app idea I want to do, right? I told you about that a while back with the roadside services.
Oh, I thought you meant sex dolls. Okay.
No, that's your deal. But like, it requires a DOT number for each individual state to accept my licensing. So does Curry have that as well?
I don't need it when I do Curry runs. You don't need it when you do Curry hotshot runs. I don't need it when I do a Curry route.
But do they? But do they have one?
Or I'm sorry, I do need it when I do a Curry route.
Oh, okay. So they do have one then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And for their bigger stuff that they outsource to the bigger truckers and stuff, I'm sure they have a whole different thing that you have to. I don't know what all truckers need to carry and stuff, so I don't want to like speak out of line, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you have to show them all that. Like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have that? Do you have that? I don't know. I'm just, but now they didn't used to though on the routes. Now even the route drivers. So if you're using their truck and still on the gig work side where you're being paid daily, though, you do have to get a dot.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just curious about that.
But we're the only state too that made you get dot for Uber and Lyft.
True. Well, no, I mean New York, they had the licensing thing, or not the equivalent of the taxi cab, but something similar. Right?
You did, Josh. You've done 3. Today, nice.
Today.
I did one this month. I've done a the scheduled ones. I think I saw you put something about this too, Josh. The scheduled ones. I've been like having my pick of the litter for scheduled runs in the morning, like every day. Tomorrow's Saturday, so I won't even look, but I'm sure there's a few. But like every night I've been seeing like 7, and I'm like, which one do I want? Because they're all 7 a.m. pickups. So that's never happened before. Curry's like backlogging, and I thought winter was going to bring me back a bit.
Yeah, let me check mine. Yep, still nothing.
Yeah. Did you update it? It never forces an update. It never even suggests one, dude.
No, my apps automatically update though.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like,
no, it's up to date. No, it's just I have it registered as my car instead of my SUV. I need to switch it back to my SUV, so that way I at least get the paint runs.
I think that I got a theory on this. I think that it's not about could your car fit it or not. I think it's about the look of, at bare minimum, they want an SUV pulling up.
It could be.
I think so, because I go to these new builds and stuff, and I can just tell, even though it's just the construction people and the foremans, they just don't want a Pinto pulling up with no windshield. And they're $10,000 of paint, dude. All I know is I took 480 pounds of paint the other day Okay. And I didn't have a dolly to unload it. It was 9 5-gallon barrels. But the new Sherman-Williams operation in Parker low jacks all of the paint. And I thought it was just one in the batch, but they low jack every one. Paint is now gold, you guys. Because he said to me, like, we're a distribution center. And he's like, if you don't, because it was a new build. And he's like, if I see you making wrong turns, I'll let you know. And I was like, what? He's like, I'll be watching you in real time. We have trackers on the paint. I was like, Jesus. Just what? Where? Gold, you can drive with gold and they don't need it. But if you drive them with paint, and then, that was my thing too. When I said that I was changing the way, the other day, I was changing the way people see the world. It's because of paint. Like, if you paint a wall red, you're just going to see your world different, man. A few affected careers. These are now in Washington State, Massachusetts, still in this is for January 1st, potentially Pennsylvania, potentially Minnesota. Musicians will have to have contracts to work. Home-based healthcare will have to have contracts to work and unionized.
Say again where this is.
Washington State, which we knew was going, Massachusetts, which we knew was going, but then it could be in Pennsylvania and Minnesota as well, because they're really trying to push them through here at the last minute. But here's a big one that's going to really flip people out. Pro golfers, and there's no way around it. Because I don't know too many PGA Tour masters that make that kind of money who are just going to be, okay, I'll just quit.
All right.
They're going to say, sorry, I'm going to keep playing. And golfers are worldwide. So what? They're going to have to play in other countries?
Okay, so there's two types of pro golfers. So are you talking about touring?
It listed it as all PGA players.
That doesn't make any sense because
they're independent contractors.
No, there's some of them are employees of a country club. There are teaching pros and there's playing pros, and they're both part of the PGA. How are you going to separate which one's which? Because a lot of people do both.
But the Mickelsons and the big guys, they don't get a W-2.
No, they get prize money.
Right. And because of that, and speaking of that, poker players, even professional, are going to be on there.
Wait a minute now.
Tom's like, whoa, let's back the truck up.
I mean, unless like, here's how it would work out from all the stuff we've been, and I haven't even been discussing that, but like poker players, unless they have an actual one single sponsor who does give them a W-2.
Actually, there's quite a few that do that.
Yeah, I know there are. That's why I said that might.
All of their stuff is staked, and they work in. So any winnings go back to the company,
right?
And worked out in
right, exactly. And whatever's on top, they split. And
yeah.
I know a couple of whatever you'd call it, amateur pro that work on much, not the World Series of Poker type money, but work on much higher levels than I would gamble, and are very good and sit up. And I know you play too, Tom, but. I just found this crazy because this was just at a base level dissection, finding a few. And when I was looking, I saw at least 15 others. I just didn't have the time to jump in. The home-based
unionize poker players. They're going to unionize poker players. I want to see that.
I don't know what they're going to do.
They're trying to unionize everybody.
I'm part of the Poker 155 Local 387.
We're striking.
I'm not playing anything worse than a pair of jacks for the next 2 weeks. I refuse.
Right, you see the first few cards and you don't fold. You're like, I'm on strike.
I'm not going to fold it. I'm not going to bet it. I'm just going to sit here. I'm on strike. What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to do about it, and what everybody should do about it, is go to driverrights.org. Not kidding, you guys. We have over 60,000 signatures. Go to driverrights.org. put your email in. You don't have to do anything more than that. But if you do want to, because I get a lot of emails, you guys, about this stuff, there is a way to have a form filled out and submit it to your congressman. We now have lawyers. We have state House members and Congress from like 5 or 6 different states. We've got 4 or 5 lawyers who are donating the time to that. So this is not the Instacart strikes that have like 1,000 people across the country tops. I think that's even being nice. But this is 60,000 signatures since April. So they're probably very active still. These aren't 3-year-old signatures. These since April.
Right.
And now we've got big guns behind it. So this is the closest thing to a movement that might help. And again, it's not a strike. It's not, let's have minimum wage. We don't want that. All we're asking for is flexibility. Keep the flexibility and full transparency. Data's yours. And don't direct me in my work kind of thing. It's not even like we're asking for all the factors of independent contractorship. We're just saying like, these are a must. And the transparency one is huge. So anyway, go sign that, you guys, because we're all going to find in the new year that there's going to be a lot of weird stuff going on. I said last night on the roundtable, I know, Gary, you weren't there, but I said that, 2023 is going to be an awesome year. I said, but for gig workers, I said, start watching, get on more apps. Like we always tell people to multi-app and whatnot, but don't sit on just Uber, because if you do, and Uber does a background check on a guy who has a spelling of your name with a different letter or the same name, and they accidentally deactivate you, there's no longer a course there's no longer any recourse. Even lawyers who used to help don't do it anymore. If you get deactivated, you're finished, period. There's nothing you can do. There's nobody you can get on the phone. I mean,
well, I wouldn't say there's
16,
nothing
17,
you could do.
Yeah, but dude, like even
I wouldn't say there's nothing to do. You can go to arbitration if you didn't opt out. You can do that
if you didn't opt out.
Right. And you can still sue them even if you did opt out. I mean, it doesn't overturn anything, and it's going to be a more lengthy, costly process. But
I was just going to say the problem is gig workers don't have that.
Right.
It would take a lot of money.
Right. I'm just saying to say nothing.
Well, right, but you're not going to go spend $15,000 on a lawyer to take on Uber and hope you win to get an Uber driving job back. It's not going to hurt it. But Detroit Popeyes. And this is the 3rd time I looked into it. The 3rd time that they've had this issue. This DoorDash driver went into Popeyes in Detroit and saw cockroaches crawling over the straws, over the counter, over this, that, the other, and people were just working. Like, no big deal. What about them? Like, kind of thing. Like, and she's like, what the hell? And so she told one of the ladies, and I mean, literally, she told one of the ladies that this was happening, and the lady who was working there took her shoe off and started
smacking it. What?
And I was like, dude, where there's one, there's a billion.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't go green when you kill these things. You call the people with the most toxic crap, or else you light the building on fire, one or the other.
That's right. Right.
But anyway, she calls the health department. Most drivers might not. Most drivers might just have unassigned or whatever, but she calls the health department, makes a big deal of it. They're shut down right now. There's a whole thing going on. And here's the kicker, though, of the story, you guys. DoorDash, she called DoorDash to tell them. They made her make the delivery.
Oh, no, I would have let the customer know.
She did. Yeah, she did when she got there, and she said that she saw the customer throw it away.
No, I would have told the customer while I was in the store, hey, there's cockroaches.
Here's my point. She told DoorDash there's a cockroach infestation here. This food can't be eaten. And they said, well, you have to take it.
That's an idiot at DoorDash. I mean, I can't believe that's coming.
But I'm sorry, that's not something that she should answer then.
Well, yeah.
I mean, don't.
But
there's a time to get a supervisor, if keyword.
Well,
I mean, we all know what a cockroach is. I don't care where you're from.
Yeah, but we've talked about this before, though.
Hippos.
We've talked about the customer
roosters.
support before, though. They're all typically overseas. They don't really care.
Right.
They're just
like
whatever.
Like Zach says, if he hears a goat or a rooster, he hangs up because he knows that call ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, like me knowing DoorDash isn't going to do anything about it, I would have immediately told the customer while I was in the store. Like, probably taking pictures of it too.
Damn, Arturo.
That's the Louisiana. He says that's the Louisiana finger looking good recipe.
By the way, Arturo and I are doing a Christmas Eve special. So Christmas is on Sunday. Christmas Eve is on Saturday. That Friday is the 23rd. And on 12/23 a year ago, we did it. We did the same thing, but we did it more just us. And it'll be us, but it'll be a little more interactive and positive and fun. And come on by, everybody.
Just tell me we don't have to bring a white elephant gift because I hate those things.
But Arturo, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that so much. But yeah, gross, right? I mean, just extremely gross.
Yeah, that's just completely nasty. I mean, here's the thing that we've always said, if you've ever worked in a kitchen, you know how nasty the kitchens are. But there's nasty and then there's just plain disgusting. This is just plain disgusting.
Disgusting, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
because there's dirty kitchens and then there's just like infestations should never happen. Never. And if they are, they should be completely shut down the first day.
Josh, DoorDash's script didn't have cockroach issues. She's like, flip it. I don't see it. Just deliver it.
Right.
Because here was one of the things we pointed out last night was, why did the person even put it in her car?
Well, see, I would be concerned about that too because
if you get one,
what if there's one cockroach in that bag?
Then all of a sudden, because now you got 1 million in your car.
Yeah. I mean,
it really. We know that everything multiplies and some bugs at high rates, but cockroaches multiply crazy.
This also on the workers though. How nasty do you have to be to work around that all the time and not have it affect you? Like if I was working somewhere
in Detroit, does this keep happening? Why has this happened 3 times in Detroit? Like they're working with them like they're their pets?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, how nasty is that? Like, if I show up to work and there's an infestation of cockroaches, I'm gonna quit.
Right? Can I have a bucket of chicken and can I get some of that special sauce on top?
Oh my gosh!
Can you give me some cockroaches?
Health Jobs Plus. I like this. And Gary, I think that you would like this too. When I was reading it, I don't exactly remember what I was thinking. I was thinking about you when I was reading it a couple points because it was, basically it's is already unique in the industry for its proprietary bid counterbid functionality that enables employers and contractors to bypass costly middlemen or apps by directly negotiating with each other to establish the right price for the right gig. The company is rolling out another game changer function, which will enable users to get matched for gigs at a hyper granular level via a hashtag system. That's what I wanted to know from you, Arturo.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
What is hyper granular level, and what like
getting down to the real small details?
Right. I mean, basically, if I had to put in filter terms, you're basically filtering out everything.
But hyper granular via a hashtag system?
I don't know. I'm trying to look up the story here and see what it says.
It's in you have it right?
Yeah, I have it right here. I'm reading it real quick. Hold on a minute. And so, I don't know what they're going to be hashtag. I mean, what do you do? Just like send a hashtag?
Maybe text? You put in hashtags of all like your skills.
Yeah, that's maybe. I mean, it is for healthcare, right?
I don't know. I mean, I thought so too, and even by the look of it, blue plus the orange plus kind of gives that medical look.
Well, because
it says professionals.
It says health gig jobs is what it says.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean,
it says right here the hashtag system enables workers to leverage their unique interest and proficiency so that they can earn income doing what they love to do most and get paid on their terms. So I'm guessing that's what they're going to do is put in what they want to do. Like I'm not familiar with healthcare stuff and exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the examples. Like if you speak a certain language,
so you'd hashtag like Spanish.
Yeah, or if you're proficient doing injections or have expertise in diabetes management. Things like that. So that's pretty cool though, because I already liked these healthcare apps to begin with. I think they're like even the ones that were just assigning nurses to let them travel after the pandemic and like kind of allow them to work wherever they go kind of thing. And nurses are always needed, but this is cool. I like this.
I like it too. I think that they could probably do it a better way than hashtags.
No, but I like it because man, it takes a lot of hands out of, or it takes a lot of work out of the administrators or, all the paperwork people at the hospital, trying to figure out, well, okay, this person's here and they get a raise, and they know all this, and this, and they've been training under this person. But if another person comes in, not to like shortcut that person, but if they already have a ton of skills and that hospital needs those, they might not ever know that person has those skills without something like this.
Well, I know a lot of hospitals are switching to a schedule type system, but not for their specific hospital. Like I got a friend, she's an X-ray tech, and she can actually go into her whatever system they use, and she can schedule different hospitals that she wants to work at or different facilities, let's say, that she wants to go work at, as long as they're all owned by, I think they all have to be owned by the same corporation. But say, most hospitals, they have, at least 3 locations, and, you can go in there and pick the locations you want to work at and the hours and things like that. And then they put out these schedules. And then some of them actually pay more because they'll put a bonus on top of that, kind of like peak pay. They'd be like, hey, we don't have anybody to fill Saturday 12-hour shift. We're going to give you an extra $20 an hour to do that shift. And then they get stuff filled quicker. So the medical field's actually advancing pretty quickly as far as technology and trying to get people to work on a flexible schedule. So that's always good.
Oh.
I'm still very concerned, Steve, back to your story you were talking about a few minutes ago, and you're talking about Washington and Massachusetts and others, and this idea of home healthcare workers. Look, we just lost my brother-in-law a few months back. I don't know what we would have done the last few years without the home healthcare that we had coming in here. It was super expensive as is. They start putting these people in basically unions and raising the price. How are people supposed to take care of that? It's not covered by insurance.
No, and also the workers too. The workers aren't going to want to do it because these independent contractors develop bonds with these people, and Absolutely. They're not going to want unions in their pockets taking that little bit more money that they just don't have.
Right.
They're not maybe living day to day, but they're not living fat either,
No, but I mean, it's talk about a place where we really don't need any interference from anybody. I'm paying somebody to come in here and sit with my brother-in-law all day long.
Mm-hmm.
How much I pay them and everything, as long as she's happy, as long as I'm happy, as long as it's all working. Look, and doing stuff that nobody on this call wants to be doing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nobody. All right. And willing to do it. And we've got an agreed upon. Everybody else get out of our way. It's none of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think a lot of times though, they want to get involved because they're not getting a piece of the pie though, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. But but the same people doing this are the ones who are saying we're going to get you a better healthcare system.
No,
this is not a good start. This is not a good start, guys.
Well, that's because they have to promise something to take other things away. That's how the government, everybody works. They have to promise you so they can take away.
Taking away how we care for elders is not a good start.
Well, it's not just elderly. It could be children. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people who, I'm doing this for a living. I got other things going on. I can't stay in the room with my brother-in-law. And like I said, he's passed now, but I couldn't sit in there all day long. Just, we had to have somebody sit there next to him all day long, feed him, change him, bathe him, all of those kinds of things. And, it's a horrible, hard job. I don't want, as long as we're happy with who we have in there and they're happy with what I'm paying them and all, I don't need anybody else involved in that. But yet here come some others who want to jump in.
Chris is a Patreon member of mine. Thank you, Chris, for that, by the way. Chris is also a pediatric oncology nurse, 120 an hour to work on mercy ships.
Wow.
And insurance does pay a percentage of home health care, but
yeah,
but Chris, I mean, do you think it's a good portion? Because I don't know. I mean, you probably know better than us, but I know a lot of healthcare workers sometimes just don't want to know and really don't know about the cost. They do somewhat, but they just know it's high.
What we needed is not the same thing. Mm-hmm. We've got in the nurses, but they're only for a limited amount of time. They only did a limited amount of stuff. I'm talking about the day-to-day, day in, day out, the insurance going through the VA, which is what we had to do. Not acceptable.
Yeah, he needed a caretaker, basically.
Right.
Which is,
Joe just put it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I got to take a break on the radio side. We're going to be back in just a minute. You're listening to TNC Radio.live Friday night, talking about all things in the gig economy. You're welcome to join us. Call us at 706-862-8620. That's 706-TNC0. Love to have your phone calls, so jump right in. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back in, TNC Radio.live. It's Friday night. It's Driver Nation. Happy to have you in with us tonight. Got a few more minutes before we get to the top of the hour. We're talking with Steve and Gary about all things regarding the gig economy. Steve, throw out a subject here for us that we can do in less than 10 minutes.
Well, we can talk about dumpling here for a quick second.
Yeah, it's about dumpling.
Okay, so
for those who are listening and maybe it's hard
I'll
for
take it from the beginning.
I know you know all of these. A lot of us don't know all of these. So back up a little bit. Tell us, what is dumpling?
So dumpling is, and Gary, feel free to jump in if you have a thing to say about the platform itself too. But so dumpling is truly, I mean, there might be a couple others, but truly the only independent contractor app I know. Like true, there's no debating it because they don't feed you clients. They don't do anything, but they don't take a lot of money. They give you the platform. They give you a credit card from them. You can have the amounts extended. You can do shops. You can do shops with lists. You can go to any store. You can make 10 stops for somebody. You can add other services. But it started off to fight Instacart because they were so sick of what Instacart was doing to people. So what dumpling does is if you hire me, I just had to set my prices. So you set them all yourself. Again, another independent contractor trait. I pick how much I'm going to charge. All of that. I got to land my clients, but I chose to go with the percentage. So
you have to find your clients. That's another. They're not given to you. There is a way through the dumpling app. I did see that people can randomly select you. But I believe most of the people that we've talked to with dumpling, they actually go out and find their clients, which makes you your own business and you market yourself.
Right. But then let's look at Matthew. Let's look at Matthew Tells. He's not one of the top 3 in the country. He's like the 6th or something, but he's one of the most fun. So I've had him on a couple times with Celeste and
Shopping by the Shore.
Yeah, and so those ones are in the top 5 dumpling shoppers, but Matt's just outside of it. He's in Chicago. He got 2 clients 3 years ago. He now can't take any more clients because those 2 referred him to all of his other clients.
Right, and Celeste actually had to hire more help because she was getting
Celeste
so many
turned
clients.
into a business.
Yeah. Right.
And like
Well,
actually
she expanded her business. She was already
she actually filed it as an S corp now.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, she has 2 employees. I mean, this is an opportunity to build a business. And if you're like, I don't just like doing groceries though, me neither. So I'm kind of looking at this as a way to feel true independent contractor on a gig app, and then start seeing where I can implement some services. Because like Dumpling's okay with it. If you want to walk a dog, if the person, like, here's what happens if some of you don't know, is that like if you get a client on Dumpling, they've had a bad experience most likely on Instacart. Now you're going to be their shopper, and then when you shop for them that first time, they're like, wait, so you're gonna be my shopper again? And you're like, I'll be your shopper every time. If you liked the service, I can be your shopper every time. So they can start giving you notes and feedback, and hey, when you see this, could you get this instead? And you can do, when you arrive, you can hit I've arrived. It sends them a message that says that he's doing your shop right now, kind of giving them a heads up to kind of pay attention, to watch in case you have any questions, or because Instacart shoppers, if they can't find it, they just move on, and they didn't have it.
Right. They mark it as unavailable in the app, and then they move on. I think with Dumpling, you get that more personal experience. You get the same shopper every time. They're gonna know what you like, what you don't like. They're not gonna like. For example, whenever I use these apps, I order keto bread, and they always try to send me non-keto bread. At least with a personal shopper, they would know, hey, he's not going to accept anything else except for keto bread. So they would look for another keto bread.
Right. And so here's another thing too. Like, here's something that can get a little weird, is that like if a store had a sale or an item's gone or something. So let's say that somebody knows that the store that is by them, and I'm doing a shop by them. If they tell me they want this kind of honey, let's say they want a specific kind of honey. We've got tons in Colorado. So, I want this honey. Okay. Well, you get there and they don't, and the customer's like, I don't see it in the app. And you don't have to say, put another honey and I'll just get it, 'cause that's weird, right? Like, don't do that. You can just put at the bottom which honey you want. And when I get there, I'll take pictures and we'll make sure I get you the right one. Because somebody might say, I'm sure they have it. I'm there every week. I don't know why it's not in the app.
I seen a comment. I don't know if it was on Celeste, Facebook or whatever, but you also got to remember these personal shoppers through Dumpling are going to find you the best deals too. So if it's, buy 2, get 1 free, unlike Instacart or something where they're going to have 2 in the app, not grab that third one for you, a personal shopper would grab that other one too.
Yeah.
So this gives you the chance, if you're the person doing the personal shopping, to manage it all yourself and take the time off when you want to take the time off, work, as you want to work. If you don't do a good job, people will drop you and go to somebody else.
Yep. Correct. So I've set up the hour blocks that I'm available, but that doesn't mean you can just pick one and like say, hey, next Tuesday at this, I want you to go do stuff. It's that you eventually will develop a relationship and start to have a day where you regularly do it for them. Sure. But you can put the blocks out there. I just put some minimal ones, and then I'm willing to work outside of them too. Like if somebody's like, hey, I know you don't do Saturday, but could you? And I probably wouldn't even charge more. And especially right now in the beginning, I would just be like, yeah, sure. Like that's not a day I'd normally work, but until we can find a day that works for you. Cause that's me. I am a service industry person. And I know that when you get the opportunity, you take it. You don't screw around and go, no, I don't work on Saturday.
No,
I guess I fully understand now. It's just like Instacart.
No. Now, I did have a quick question about that, Steve. Since people are leery about opening up to true independent contractorship, does Dumpling provide coaching for new people?
Oh yeah. Yeah. In fact, Dumpling has Dumpling University. So in your first 90 days, you get that free. If you want to continue with that, you need to have the, I think it's $19.99 a month plan. And then there's a business plan too. And the differences are, and there's an enterprise. So if you're wondering what these plans are, like the enterprise is like $99 a month. However, it gets you 5 cards so that you can have 5 people working for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they can even be in different states, I found out. Like if I have a really good friend somewhere else, like you, Gary, like if you were like, I want to try it, I could send you a card on mine. I mean, I don't know. It really is true independent contractorship. And the way I priced mine out is I chose to go percentage and tip, and it seems to be working out great. I don't know what people complain about. I go in there, I get the items, I'm out in 30 minutes, and the pay is good.
Right. Yep. So if anybody's looking to sign up for this, you can check out more at dumpling.us.
Dumpling.us. All right. We'll talk more about that too on the other side. We're coming to the top of the hour. Take a break for a few minutes, check in with the news, all that kind of good stuff. You're listening to TNC Radio.live, Friday night, Driver Nation. Stay right there. Part of why Uber gets some money from me.
Right. Exactly. That's why they get their cut, is because they take care of the insurance. They take care of all the legal stuff, things like that. That's why they get some money from us.
Yeah, I don't have to build a relationship with a particular bank or whatever. They've got all they can. And there's a lot of things that Uber does that I'm happy for them to do it. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there's certain services that are provided by the middleman that I don't have a problem with, that I think can get kind of cloudy on some of these, Steve. But I think you can also say, yeah, well, if Uber didn't do that, I mean, that's why I use their app as opposed to not using any app and just kind of driving around like a taxi cab. What do you call those cabs that just pick up anybody? The
yellow cabs.
No.
Autonomous.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
But let me just run through what happened this week alone to Uber. So in the city of Chicago, Uber now it's done. They have to pay $10 million. And that's for listing restaurants that not only weren't approached, they were approached and said they didn't want to be part of the program, and Uber put them on anyway.
Oh, gosh.
What the heck? Like they go and have meetings with these restaurants, and they're like, no, we don't want to be on that platform. And they're like, well, screw it. We'll just put you on it, and we'll keep the fee then.
Well, that's how all of them started, those, as far as food delivery.
Right, but we're 14 years in, and things
Right.
are being questioned very heavily right now everywhere,
Right.
including Chicago. What are you doing?
Well, so I was just pointing at that fact out that that's how they all started.
And now,
Not
and then the Australian one is really bad. So, Tom, you were talking about Australian money to Americans. So the Australian federal court has fined Uber Australian 21 million. So it's 14 million US for engaging in misleading and deceptive conduct. Uber did so in two ways, one of which involved the offer it made in some parts of Australia to arrange rides in ye old licensed taxis. They found that the Uber app and website displayed a likely price for taxi rides, but overestimated every fare.
Right.
To make it so that you'd pick Uber instead.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty brazen.
I mean, we're talking fraud. We're talking.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find so many things that they're doing wrong here.
And we got to remember, in Australia and New Zealand and stuff, all the gig apps down there, they are regulated. They're regulated. They have laws they got to buy. All the drivers got to have like special, I believe, licenses or permits or something, and things like that. So,
yeah.
Georgia did that a while back too.
So over in England, Uber has been forced to raise its prices following a drop in the number of drivers, is what they're claiming. Uber is finally raising these prices, and we keep hearing this, but I'm starting to believe that there is a lack of drivers. I'm starting to believe that churn rate's down. And
well, I know from the time me and you started driving, Steve, everybody I know that started from then till now, they no longer do rideshare.
Right.
Like me and you, we don't do rideshare.
I mean, we know Rideshare Road Warrior Rick, Dark Road Run. We do know some people who have been in it since 2015.
Well, no, I'm saying me personally, the people I knew that I used to do in my city and things like that. Like none of them do rideshare anymore. They all switch over to package delivery or food delivery, something that actually pays more at the time without surges and things like that. But just the standard pay, they all do better gigs.
Right, but so they brought our pay way down, and now they're charging more, which they should have been doing for a long time. And then the last actually there was one on RoboTaxi, but we won't even go there. But the last one is Uber's facial recognition locking Indian drivers out of their accounts because the Microsoft facial recognition runs at 62% efficiency. Nighttime, people of color and women all are about a 50-50 shot.
Good grief.
So why are you even using it? If you know it's 62, if you know it's a D-, a hard D-, why are you using it?
And see, here's the thing. Like we know the facial recognition software doesn't work where the crap.
Yeah.
Like they need a better way of doing it. Like Lyft always makes me scan my stupid driver's license.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at I don't know if Samsung's doing it yet, but iPhone, you lift it, it gets you, and if anybody else lifts it, it doesn't let you in.
No. Well, I mean,
maybe
Apple's
Kevin Bacon,
bigger.
but
Kevin Bacon maybe.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon is the only one.
You should print off a picture, a high def picture of him, and see if it'll unlock with your iPhone.
There you go. Hey, we got to take our final break of the evening. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. You're listening to TNC Radio.live. This is Driver Nation, talking all things gig economy. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right.
Yeah. No, he never listens to me.
No, I do, but now I'm because it's a lot of it's a lot of work. Those are
I know
they're long. I mean, like I was thinking, I want to do a best of Sunday for the holidays,
right?
But Sunday Fun Day, but some of those are 5-6 hours.
They're very long. Yeah, that's what I said.
But like I wanted which one was I really wanting? And I was like, I don't even know where that is. Like I was trying to when the Match.com commercial. We don't get paid until you get laid during the pandemic. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That was like one of the funniest things ever. And like big actors are in that commercial. They're doing like this whole dance and singing and it's like, we don't get paid until you get laid.
I mean,
I was like, I don't know if you can say that.
You didn't forget it, so it worked.
You can't say
right,
that.
but you know what? The problem is they do get paid whether you get laid or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What's funny is this comment came up right as you said that.
That is funny. Okay, so Steve, what's the next thing you're dropping?
Tomorrow, 13 minutes of news. It's actually getting bigger and bigger and bigger. People like it.
But still only 13 minutes.
13 minutes of news in 13 minutes or less.
Okay, so
I've never gone over.
Popular, but it's not getting bigger.
No. Right. Yeah. More popular though.
All right. So we're not doing 13 minutes of news in 28 minutes.
Right. No.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah. I'm not Uber. I'm not lying.
Now, somebody called you out for that not too long ago because you're supposed to be 13-minute news in 13 minutes, but yet you wasn't doing 13 minutes of news. So does that include the intro and outro?
I guess it has to. I've just been trying to make it quick because there's no other way to do it, right? I mean, like I'll also tell you that people that don't know at 8 minutes or longer on YouTube, if you monetize it, it will put commercials in the middle. And I will never allow that to happen on that because I need it to stay 13 minutes. So I don't even want to stop. So that one, I literally take that out and say, no, it's got to run this 13 minutes or less.
I just remember somebody called you out for that one time.
Yeah, it was. I know it was even. I know who it was. It was Brandon Diaz, and he said, well, what about when you're like plugging some? What about when you plug Gary's apps or something in the beginning, like, and then it's a minute and a half in, and then you say, let's get into it. In that 11 and a half minutes, like, but I responded with, yeah, it's 13 minutes of news in 13 minutes or less.
Right. Becoming more and more concerned as I see more and more people out there thinking that this is somehow the solution to all the world's problems is that we're going to put lithium batteries in every car or put everybody in a lithium battery car or truck and everything is going to be just fine. And it's not that I have anything against electric vehicles, nothing against electric vehicles at all. I have nothing against Santa Claus either. And one of them is a really good story, and one of them's a total myth. So, and I would never call Santa Claus a myth. So I'm just saying, I'm nothing against it, but I think we got to get real about what we're really talking about.
With Santa Claus? He's not real?
How do you propose that happens, though, Tom? I mean, literally. Maybe the new year, again, everybody tries to get their last pitch in right now, how the world's going to change. And, oh, my gosh, it's going to happen in the next 3 months. You know, but, I mean, there are people who are very into the EV movement, which, I mean, let's face it, all of us would be too in 15 years. But we just think that the hybrid model was even skipped over too quick. But there are people that even in that starting to go, man, I did the math. It doesn't work.
And that's is that I want us as good conscientious people who actually are paying attention to the world to be able to step up and say, here's the truth of it. And when we hear people telling a lie, make sure that it's clear that, ask them the right questions, not in a berating manner necessarily, but ask the right questions, because people aren't asking the right questions right now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's bigger thing. One of the stories out there that we were going to talk about last night that we didn't, actually has to do with Lyft and EVs, but there's even bigger things out there than that. I mean, I was going to make a joke tonight about how Lyft is offering $150. I didn't see how often this is. Maybe let's just say per month for a minute to EV owners in California. And I was thinking, does Lyft have $150? Are they going to pay for 2 drivers and then be broke?
Yeah, apparently.
Limit the first 100 drivers or something.
I mean, anyway, there's bigger problems. And one of them right now, I don't know if, Tom, you saw, I texted you. I know it was a little bit of a deep dive, so you might not have looked. I sent it to Gary as well. It is a big deal. The RDU, the Rideshare Drivers United, is actually getting built. They just had a comments page that had a ton, but they're actually they're taking the RDU's language and they're going to move it into the Biden proposal. And it basically, let's get down to this real quickly. It says in there, if you have to paraphrase the 4 pages from the document that they're getting into this, it basically says, if you're not an employee, you're not a rideshare driver.
So if you're not W-2, you're not a rideshare driver.
Correct.
Then what would you be?
Well,
unemployed.
Unemployed?
Yep.
Well, that's the end of rideshare.
Well, I mean, if they, it depends how far this gets pushed. I mean, luckily we saw the PRO Act come real close, but it didn't happen. Yet we've talked about this so many times on this show, on other shows. Most people, and I still stand by this. I mean, I doubt anybody here tonight even really. I've just really been around a crowd that understands a lot of this, and I get talked to sometimes even too much for me on this, but you don't know how close that PRO Act was. And if it would have happened, it would have been like an AB5 thing, but for the nation, because if it happened, I mean, when AB5 happened, even after it passed, nobody believed it was going to do all the things it did. Mm-hmm. And those who tried to figure out, okay, what if it does do all this stuff, had no idea to the magnitude of which it would destroy businesses and livings and all this kind of stuff. And the PRO Act is just as bad. It's equally as bad. And now the fact that, I mean, look at, we've had some broken deals too here, because the FTC should not be working with the what is it? The National Labor Relations Board. So the NLRB. those two entities aren't supposed to work together. They're totally moving into the same house together and getting married. I mean, this is ridiculous. And now the DOL is gonna the Department of Labor is gonna take on Rideshare Drivers United. And here's my biggest issue with it is that let's be nice and call it 20,000. Let's say that 20,000 like true drivers are pushing for this. Do you know that we have 100-fold that many that would say, no, we don't want this? But the way that the language is worded, it sounds like every rideshare driver, except for 1 in every 1,000, wants this. And I think this goes to show one of my problems with this is that when things like this get pushed through, it's the people who really care and don't want it aren't making noise about it because we don't know. Most people don't know to do it.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's worrying me because, again, the Pro Act was close. AB5 happened, you guys. Go look at it. Prop 22 got challenged in court this week. And there's not a complete breakdown of what happened or how it's going to get extended. Uber is suing the city of New York, which it agreed to on December 19th, move the rideshare pay up, and now it's suing them and saying it won't. It waited for the Christmas surprise. I mean, it's known this December 19th date for 5 months, and it waited till this week to drop it, the lawsuit.
Steve, this is part of the problem, though, is that with all that we've been saying, with all the concerns around AB5 and Prop 22 and all that kind of stuff, one of the things that we cannot produce, you and me, right this minute, are Uber drivers who can no longer drive Uber because of any of these laws.
Right.
And until people actually lose their jobs and until people go, what, I can't do this like this anymore? Until the worst happens, nobody believes us. We're Chicken Little with the sky falling. And
I think some people believe us because Washington State has moved into their model. California's in its. I mean, people have seen, oh yeah, I've heard about that. And there's a Prop 22 that helps them though. Really, why are they striking then? Or why did they try and strike when the only part of the deal of Prop 22 that they got, the gig companies, was you guys can't unionize and strike. So they decided Prop 22 wasn't enough about a month or so back and decided, you know what, we should strike because this Prop 22 isn't enough.
But that's what they voted for.
Right. The only thing they voted for was that we can't strike. And now they're like, we have to strike. It's just absurd to me. And I know that they're now claiming that they want to tear down Prop 22. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think some of the people that are, like, for example, some of the drivers that were for Prop 22, they were misled by gig companies to tell them that this is going to be better for them. And they just believed them. And now that it actually happened, they're like, wait, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Because, like every time something new happens, they put some announcement in their app saying, hey, do this, your rights are being taken away, blah, blah, blah. They fearmonger. And
right.
So
Well,
drivers rush out to do that.
The other thing, though, is that Prop 22, I mean, Rideshare Road Warrior Rick comes in a lot. He's in California. Most people in California, luckily a lot of our crowd from California even openly admits, I like Prop 22. And I'm like, no duh, you do, because it's extra, it's free money. It's free money for not, and it's being subsidized whether we want to talk about it or not on a national scale, but the other states that are going to be transforming are not as pretty as a Prop 22. And like we talked about last night, Gary, I mean, if every one of the 50 states even found some form of this, these companies wouldn't, I don't even know if they'd go to franchise or employee model. They might just pack it up.
No, they would try something. I mean, yeah,
they'd try. I think they'd try and fight it in court.
The most profitable way for them, though, would be an employee model. I mean, just realistically, because then, they got you on as a W-2, an actual W-2. You can't decline rides. You can't do anything. You have to have a schedule. So that means, you have, and they could then fire you if you're taking too long on rides too.
But here's where, think of the amount of churn rate for drivers and whatnot, and think of the amount of people that they'd have to fire, because these people wouldn't just go, I'm going to quit. They'd wait till they get fired. And the more people you fire, the more through the roof your insurance goes. If you are just constantly getting people unemployment.
Well, yeah. So the first thing they're going to do is stand by. Sorry. First thing they're going to do is everybody that they fire, they're going to say, no, he's not eligible for unemployment. And here's why. And it'll be because he violated company policy and that kind of stuff. So, which also is not a positive thing, but I don't know. But we don't have the right attention of the right people. And
the other thing to look at too is, even those going, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I do want it. Remember that if you do, watch what you wish for, guys. Because first of all, I have really dug into this stuff, and there's not a lot of pretty in it. It's, if you're thinking, wow, more pay and better this, it really doesn't equate that way. The pay doesn't come out to more. Prop 22 is a bad example, but the pay doesn't come out to more. The benefits really don't weigh. Getting them can be very hard. It's a push. It's a push in the direction of, and we say this over and over and over, but this is the last show of the year. We need to talk about this. It's a push for the unions, because when we come back, we're going to the next TNC, the next Driver Nation show we do in 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Right.
We might already be talking about Massachusetts, because it might
I'm
move that
betting
quick.
We will. I'm betting we will be by then.
Other states too, but I'm saying that one might already be in place to go on the 1st, not to start to make through January, make its plans on how it's going to, come about. But I'm just saying, this one, they don't need they're not waiting anything. They could be making the plan right now.
Thanks, Steve. I'm freaking depressed already on a Friday night. Oh, well. I'm going to take a break on the radio side. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Steve's ruined my weekend already. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
I didn't do nothing.
But it's not going to happen, and neither is this EV stuff. And we're being led down a road that, and this is the part, now I'm going to sound like Steve here, and the sky is falling. We're wasting a lot of time, energy, and money going down a road that does not have a happy ending. And I don't know what we're missing in the meantime, but all of a sudden we're going to be in a position like, oh man, we cut back on all this production, all this exploration, all this work that we could have done on the fossil fuel side, because we're going to move everything to lithium batteries. And now we can't do the lithium batteries, and we can't back up to where we were.
Yeah.
And, look, I
know how sometimes it sounds to people until they listen a few times, or until we get to know each other, kind of thing. But I'm not about the sky is falling. I'm just bringing some honest facts, and that's all you're doing right now too. It's about, and people have to wake up and stop. I'm not saying stop reading the media you like and that kind of stuff, but just take it with a grain of salt that maybe, just maybe, these people are lying or don't have a clue on these dates.
Well, see, the thing is, there are a few producers of this stuff that are lying, and they know they're lying. Yep. And then there's a lot of people who are really hopeful. Okay. They hope that this stuff is true. And
I think you and I, Tom, and Gary, I think we all are hopeful too. We just have a more realistic scope of, listen, it's not even in the foreseeable future. We can't.
We've talked about this before, though. They're skipping the hybrid model, which that's what they should be going to, is trying to get more hybrids out there.
But even
strictly EVs.
But even the hybrid model is only good for last mile when it comes to trucking stuff. First mile, last mile. As far as trying to do something hybrid across the country, the power isn't there to carry 80,000 pounds a distant any great distance, and people, they love the concept that, I have good friends who just bought an EV and they're going to have an extra 220 port stuck in their garage, 220, 221, whatever it takes, and stuck in their garage so that they can charge up faster overnight and that kind of stuff. And God bless them. I think that's great. But I think they're also getting hosed. I really do. I think that here's another issue that we haven't even touched on yet. Who do you think, how do you think that the roads get fixed in each state? Where do you think that money comes from?
It's supposed to be the federal government.
No, federal government doesn't do it.
The highways?
Yes.
The interstates.
Every road. The road going down your street. How do they fix that? How do they get money for that?
Tax dollars.
Which tax dollars?
The fuel tax.
The fuel tax.
Right.
Okay. When I switch everything from EVs, what happens? What are we already seeing in some states like California?
Well, they'll find a new way to label it. They won't call it the fuel one anymore. They'll have this whole new tax thing that we're going to have to look at.
And that's what's happening now in 31 states already. We are starting to charge extra cost for people who are driving electric vehicles because we got to get back the tax money. Okay, so some states it's already as high as $300 a year to re-register your electric vehicle because they got to get back the tax money. So all of these, I got these tax breaks and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. They got to get that money back. Every state's got to do it. And the problem right now is every state's doing it a different way. Some states are going to charge per mile that you drive on your electric vehicle. Some states are going to charge a flat rate. Some states are going to charge based on how heavy your vehicle is. So you pay one price if your vehicle's less than 6,000 pounds, and then they're going to charge those who drive the trucks thousands of dollars every year just to drive. Okay, and again, different in every state. Do you realize the chaos that's going to create when Connecticut charges $300 per vehicle, but Rhode Island has it set up so that it's per mile? If you care about this subject, it is the most complete and interesting and fascinating thing you could read. And when you read how they did the study, how they do the work, I mean, this is the math. Okay, this is the math. You can't argue with the math.
I don't get why people, even on the most basic level, don't get it. Like, let's look at California. California actually put this stuff in place, and people believe that. I find that hard to believe. I mean,
it's hard to believe that people believe that.
I really do. I find it hard to believe that people are like that. Most people are like, cool, instead of like, well, how's that happen when we have to turn off our air conditioners?
Okay. So Steve, we've talked before about that there are the people out there who have a left-wing agenda, okay? And there are those out there who have a right-wing agenda, okay? Well, pox on both your houses, okay? But there's also a lot of people who are just tricked. They're sheep, and they're falling for this stuff, and they believe what the far right and the far left say, and
do you think the majority in California, though, are, or do you think, because I mean, honestly, Gavin Newsom is like pitching this, and a week earlier, he's on TV saying, hey, we got to kill the air conditioners because we're going to overload the grid.
It's all about money. A lot of these people, it is, I'm sorry to be so cynical, but it is only about the cash that's going to end up in their pockets.
Yeah, I mean, that isn't just an old saying that isn't true. It's follow the money and you get to the answers.
Follow the money. And that's what a lot of this is.
It really is. But it's just, to me, it's crazy to think that Newsom has been very vocal even to the state. Like, it's not like a lot of stuff gets done, not behind your back, but unless you're looking and asking, you wouldn't notice a lot of changes that get made. So that's Newsom's doing that like right up in your face.
Yep.
And then a week later, he's saying, turn the air conditioners off. We're going to kill the grid. Okay, well, that makes no sense to me, sir.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of stuff, but I guess, Rodney, the main thing I wanted to ask you is, I think you're pretty in touch with the reality of things. And like, how do you, I mean, you don't, like, even if you don't agree with Newsom, you don't like him, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's there. How are people, or are people in California really convinced that these are realistic, like 20, 25, 65% electric only, that 20, whatever it is, X amount more percent each year until it reaches 100, which is like only 4 years after that? And then, I mean, are people convinced that all that's true and that they're going to have charging stations at every house and this is just going to be a dream come true? Or do people understand that when your governor tells you to turn the air conditioners off, you're not there yet?
Steve, to be honest with you, what I believe is that most people don't even care. Honestly, they're just fighting so hard and working so hard to survive, to feed their families and put a roof over their head. And it's
right,
obvious that a lot of people out here are very, they're very upset. They're pissed. They're mad. You can see it in their demeanor, the way they, everywhere, driving everywhere. It's very sad.
Because you've been out in California, what, your whole life?
My whole life, yes. Yeah, I've been here for before, I was born.
Right. So you have you ever seen what you're seeing in California now? I've been seeing California people move into Colorado for about 15 years, but I've not seen what's going on in California ever before. I feel like people are just leaving constantly in the droves, and they just can't make it work there anymore.
Well, yeah, it's so high cost of living to live out there.
Yeah, it's everything is very expensive. I mean, I struggle myself. I have a decent retirement, but lately I've been chilling. I haven't really done any DoorDash or Uber because I just want to relax for a little while. But I'm gonna have to get back to it because I've been using some of my savings up. So I'm just it's the same for everybody. There's a lot of homeless people here. They're almost at every plaza that you see. They're in the malls, at the malls, in front of those, entrance, and it's just crazy. At the gas station, 7-Eleven, it's just very difficult to live in this state, And as far as Newsom, my thoughts are that he doesn't really care about us. He says he's going to do things, I guess like all of them do. He says he's going to help the homeless, yet he didn't do anything. He didn't really do anything to help them. Downtown LA, there's this, when I was doing Uber Rideshare, I think it's Figueroa or some street, the whole street has tents. And it smelled and it's just awful. Yeah, I don't go down there anymore, but that's pretty bad.
I don't even think they're trying to move them anymore. Like pre-pandemic when we were doing the gentrification, like even here in Denver, it's like you're constantly moving these groups of homeless around and you're kind of even directing them. You're going to go here now. But I don't even think that happens anymore because there's too many. What do you do with them?
It's crazy. There's just too many for, what are they going to do? They have no place to go. They don't, what are they going to do?
Back in February, I was still using this same joke, only now it's not funny, which is that like San Francisco was my joke that, either if you live in San Francisco, you're in the 1% or you're homeless. That's it.
Yeah.
And it used to be a funny joke, and now it's not that funny because it's actually kind of true. I don't know. I guess I find it hard to believe that, because it's meant more taxes for you guys. This is why Lyft made an initiative. It lifted to say, okay, Newsom, if you want these fake dates for electric, then the 1% pays 90% of the bill. Because they knew that this was just a way to add in a whole new tax line. and then not meet deadlines. It's like autonomous. Don't even get me started on that. That timeline's moved for decades. So,
right. And they had this.
we need to real quick talk about this. This is one article that I had a few pulled up, but I like the way tonight went. It was different, but we need to talk about this. Did you see this? It's on NBC News. It's on every news. It actually populated news last night and today that we've talked about Uber Connect before. And I've told you guys that when it was in California, in the Bay Area, it got shut down for being a major drug smuggling ring. Not Uber, not the drivers, but gang members were using it from one side of the bridge to the other. And then it's now come back, and whenever I bring it up, people laugh a little bit. This is one of those times we're going to be addressing something again because headline news with NBC today, GOP lawmakers want answers from Uber about drivers allegedly transporting drugs. This is all via Connect. They're concerned about, if these people don't know what they're taking, same kind of thing I've said. Who are we going to blame here?
I mean, what can they do though? I mean, you can do the same thing through, UPS, FedEx.
Curry, but again, you have a more B2B establishment on most of the time. Even if, I don't know if you guys have gone into like mail out a package recently, but like we have a UPS store here, for example. So if I don't go to the post office, I go to the UPS store, they are very questioning about what I'm sending, even if it's like a hat or a sweater. It's like I got a 19-year-old girl like interrogating me. What's in the box?
Wow.
Like I've never had these kind of questions from places like that in the past. But they really like interrogate you kind of about sending packages.
I just drop it off. They say, is anything valuable or breakable? I'm like, nope. They're like, okay, have a good day.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that, I mean, it's the fact that, that if you can, let me see if I can just jump into this part. So House Republicans sent, and again, this isn't political. I'm just reading an article, people, from NBC. House Republicans sent a letter Thursday to Uber asking the tech company, that's yesterday, by the way, to explain what steps it is taking in response to drivers' complaints that they are being asked to deliver packages they suspect to be drugs. The letter from the House member of Energy and Commerce Committee cites reporting from NBC News that described the concerns of drivers as well as the case of a 22-year-old Arizona woman who died from an overdose of fentanyl that her mother said was delivered via Uber Connect, a courier service that the San Francisco-based ride-hailing company started at the beginning of the coronavirus so that people could send small items across town.
Right. But again, they want to know something, but they don't have a solution for it. They're looking for.
I guess my point is though. I think it's too easy. Connect's just too easy. I mean, like, here, let me stick this in your trunk. Bye. There's no paperwork. There's nothing. You're just doing it through the app. If you go on other places now, like you are signing. There's this and this. Check that box. Like you're agreeing to do a bunch of stuff. You're on cameras and
right. And I know that we're talking about Uber here, but also later on in the article here, they're actually going to target Alto, Lyft, and Rodeo as well. So I think they're probably looking for some type of better security system or system in place to ship packages through third-party apps instead of the postal services that we currently have.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, I guess my point is, but again, I can see where they're coming from with Uber though.
Right. Well, I can see where they're coming from on all the other
couriers. Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, there's like you or UPS and FedEx, they can ask you what's in the box, but they don't actually know. You could be like, oh, it's Christmas cookies. They're like, okay.
Right.
It could be a pound of something.
You're on 5 different cameras. You're
right,
signing
but they don't
something.
But they don't scan it. Like they don't have drug dogs that go through their facility.
No. But
right, so it's the same thing. I get you're going on it. I get what you're saying. That there's more security in the
less
store.
likely to use that. If Connect exists, why would you even go there? Just use Connect. Send all bad
like
items
I can drop mine off. I can print the label at home and just drop it in a Dropbox with no security cameras, anything for US or UPS and FedEx. It's
I just don't think that's
Connect.
a step. I think it's another step, and people just don't want to take it. This is it's making it too easy, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, get in a car and go deliver it. It's easy for anything, but I'm just wondering what are they expecting to happen, or what does anybody expect to happen with it? Is my question. I mean, it's a good thing to point out a problem, but at the same time, somebody should have some type of solution to go with that problem. I mean, unless you're going to say, well, you're going to have to show the driver what's in the package, or something along that lines. I've read through the article real quickly, and nobody in this article is suggesting anything. They're just saying we're asking for an explanation. And I mean, I don't know what explanation they're looking for, because unless they actually,
I think it's because of the brand name behind it, Uber. If they can at least, even if nothing gets solved, if they can just have the discussion in a public forum so that news picks it up, so that more places become aware of the problem, that maybe that will help start to control it. And it's like, if you're going to pick out, like, okay, let's talk about big box stores, not Amazon, big box stores. You go to Walmart. If you're going to talk about transportation of items, last mile courier services, you're going to go to Uber, not to Rodeo or Freight or Curry or any of those.
Right. It did say in this article as well that if you suspect that you are delivering a package full of drugs or whatever, or that somebody's trying to do something illegal, if you report it to Uber, that they do actually ban the account and report it to law enforcement as well. So
yeah, but think about that process though. I think there's drugs in there. Okay, well, are you talking about you already have them? The person's gone. You're in your car alone with it now? Because now you have to call the police. They have to come out. What, are they going to examine the package? What if it's not drugs?
I'm just reading what the article said. I know that was my first thought too. Whenever I read it, after I read it, I'm like, so what? They still want them to transport it and then report it?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think of it this way, and this is probably a bad analogy, but I'm going to say it because if somebody's doing rideshare and they get in your car and they're taking, X amount of cocaine or something on their person, I'm not okay with that as a driver, but I don't need to know about that if you're in my car.
Oh, I've actually, as a rideshare driver, I've actually been pulled over after I dropped off a passenger by the drug enforcement people, and they had drug dogs all around my car and everything, because they suspected that I was the one peddling the drugs because I dropped off somebody at a drug house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I completely get it.
But Uber Connect's just almost, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's almost like you can, you could just run out in your boxer shorts real quick in the snow real quick and say, open the trunk. Okay, take it there. You're going to go. Like
somebody carrying out 2 duffel bags out to the car real quick.
Or 2 guys carrying a rolled up carpet. With a big lump in the middle.
Right. Don't worry about it. Don't open the package.
I'll tip you through the app.
Yeah.